Hi, today we're going to give a vacuum filter demonstration. This is our preferred method of filtering wine. Not only does it do a great job polishing the wine, but it will also remove any excess gas in the wine, and this is something that as home winemakers can from time to time be a concern. The first thing we're going to do is basically show you how to clean and set up the filter pad housing, and then we'll get on to it. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the filter pads into the pad housing. This is actually quite a simple procedure. What you want to do is you want to make sure there's two sides to each filter pad. There's a smooth side and there's a rough side. You want to make sure that the coarse side is facing up and the smooth side is facing down into the pad housing. Same with the other side. It's really important that the coarse sides face each other or the filters could get plugged up. It's also very important to make sure that the pad is snug inside of the pad housing and not off to one side. That can cause you some problems with leakage and things like that as well. So essentially put the filter pad in and completely saturate the filter pad like so. Empty out the water. The other one, put it in, put some water on it, empty out the water. Now we're going to want to take the separator piece. This separates both sides of the pad housing, and we're going to want to set this inside, once again, being very, very careful to make sure it's not offside, not a little bit over this way or a little bit over this way. It has to be directly in the center. And when you flip the other part of the pad housing on, same thing. You have to make sure that these line up. And if you hold it just right, you can sort of feel it lock into place. It's not going anywhere when it's in properly. And this is really important because the filter will not work if this thing is not lined up completely. So once you have it where you think you want it, you're going to start putting the nuts and bolts in. Each of the pad housings have a side. You can usually tell by looking at it, but usually there's a side that the bolts and nuts are going to fit in a little bit better than the other. There's some wear and tear on this side, so I'm going to flip it over to this side, and I'm going to drop in my first bolt, and I'm going to pop it in there. I'm going to put a washer, and I'm going to put a wing nut, and I'm not going to tighten it up yet. I'm just going to get it on there so it'll hold it in place so I can stick the other side on, so I can start working with the other side. Put another bolt in, another washer, another wing nut, that on. Okay. Now they're all on, but once again, they're not tight. This is a good opportunity to take a look around again. If you see little bits of paper sticking out of here, then you've not got it quite seated in properly. And once again, I can't stress the importance. The filter won't work if this isn't quite seated in properly. So just take a moment to take a look around and make sure that everything is nice and snug and in place. Perfect. Once it is, you're going to want to tighten up the bolts. Now, you're going to basically do this similar to what you might do if you were changing a tire. It's important to get the pressure on both sides distributed evenly. So just basically go around from side to side, one wing nut and washer at a time, tightening them up until they're nice and snug. You don't have to overdo it. You don't have to get them ridiculously tight. You just have to make sure that they're good and snug and finger tight, essentially. Once that is set up, and that's all there is to setting up the pad housing, you're going to want to attach your hoses. There's not a lot of places these could go to get it wrong, so just basically you got two hoses here with two clamps. Those go on the side with the two nipples extending from the pad housing. The other hose itself attaches to the vacuum pump. So essentially, the filter is now set up and ready to go. What we're going to do next is we're going to take it over to our wine. We're going to run some water through the filter pads, and then we're going to move on to filtration. But essentially, as far as putting it together, that's all there is to it.